Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Natalie Rydstrom. The British and Irish Lions rugby team was announced last Tuesday. The 37-player team is made up of the very best in the sport. And here with us today to discuss this and more is SBR Forum contributor Richard O'Hagan. Richard, thanks for joining us.
Hi there, Natalie.
Now, Sam Warburton has been named the captain of the British and Irish Lions. Are you surprised by this?
Not particularly. If he was fit, Warburton was always going to be the captain of this side. He's the Wales captain. Warren Gatland, the head coach of the Lions, was the Welsh head coach. In fact, technically still is the Welsh head coach. He was always going to back his man. It's actually more of a surprise that he's left behind two of the other captains of the British Isles teams, Kenny Brown of Scotland and Chris Robshaw of England. And he's taken Jamie Heaslip of Ireland, who had a really poor Six Nations competition, as Irish captain. So I think Warburton was always going to be a certainty, provided that he could stay fit, which he doesn't have a great record of, but he managed it.
Now, Ladbrokes is offering a ton of bets under the head of the British and Irish Lions tour. What, if any, jump out to you as having value at this point?
I think a lot of them have a lot of value at this point. There's always opportunities for the Lions tour to bet on things like the number of players of each individual nationality that will start in the very first Lions test side. Now, it's important to remember that you're not looking at the very first Lions team, which will play on June the 2nd in Hong Kong. You're looking at the first Lions test team, which will play later on that month in Australia against Australia. And so you want to back, for example, on there being 10 Welshmen. There's 15 Welshmen in the party. I think there could be 10 Welshmen in the starting 15. You can get the odds on that. If you want to put a bet on there being no Scotsman, then you can put a bet on that. And there are only 3 Scotsmen in the entire party. So you've got a few options there, certainly. There's the win market. We're going to see a tight contest in Australia, and I think there's going to be an opportunity now to get some good odds on maybe a 3-0 Lions victory, if you think they can do that, or even a 2-1 Australia victory, if you think the hosts are going to prevail. So there's lots and lots of value out there at the moment, but you've got to really start thinking now, because the closer you get to tour time, the more those odds are going to shorten.
And do you reckon taking the Lions on the handicap of -2.5 is a good bet against Australia?
I don't know. It's a difficult one, because Australia are so difficult to beat at home. But surprisingly, the only side that's done really well over there in recent years has been Scotland, who played brilliantly over there last year and caught the Australians completely cold, because they thought Scotland, who had a terrible Six Nations, were going to be easy meat, and they were overly complacent. They're not going to be like that against the Lions. Rob Howley, one of the Welsh coaches who's travelling with the Lions, said this week, you're going to have to score 25 points on average to beat Australia at home. Now, that's a lot. So I would be very careful with that particular bet. And in fact, I might even be looking the other way at Australia.
Okay, now some seem to believe the Lions may go through the tour undefeated. Is this realistic?
It's a great ambition. It's one that Sam Warburton himself has said he wants. But I can't see it happening. Lions tours are famously very attritional. There are lots of hard matches in there. And after a while, it splits into 2 camps. You have the test side, who are playing the 3 test matches. And you'll have what they call the dirt trackers, or used to be referred to as Donald's Donuts, the guys who will just play the midweek games. And as the tour goes on, the economics of bringing in replacements for the guys that get injured become a finer balance. So you get players who aren't fully fit playing in those midweek games. And I think if you're going to look for a point where it's going to fall down, the very last of those midweek games, which is a few days before the 3rd test, is the Lions against the ACT Brumbies. And the Brumbies are the top Australian team in the Super 15 competition at the moment. So it's almost like the midweek guys have their hardest game when they're least likely to be at their strongest and fittest. And there's very good odds out there on their losing that game. And I think that's where you've got to go.
Okay, now before we draw the show to a close, can you speak a little bit about making combinations of bets to maximise your chances at cashing in, such as picking, say, the centre or back row formations?
Certainly. There's any number of bets out there, but what you can bet on is who's going to start at full back, who are going to be the 2 wingers, who are going to be the 2 centres, and so on, all the way through the team. And obviously, you're just picking an individual player name there. There aren't any markets which are offering you a combination. So what you can do is you can basically double up on players and think, okay, I think that my starting Lions second row combination will be the two Welshmen, Alan Wynne-Jones and Ian Evans. So I'm going to bet on both of them individually, and I'm going to bet on them as a combination as well. And that way you can maximise your money, both depending upon which one of them is chosen. And if they're both chosen, you win again. And you can do that throughout the team. What I would say is, although there's a lot of talk about how this could be a team of 15 players, 14 of whom are Welsh, that's not going to happen. There's a tradition with Lions rugby that you do spread the caps a little bit more than that around the nations. So don't put all your eggs in the Welsh basket. Do expect, for example, that the front row might be two Welshmen and one Englishman or one Irishman. And be reasonably sensible, but yes, there's plenty of opportunities to make money there by combining those players. And keep an eye on your bets as things unfold, because injuries will happen. There will be players who will get injured before the first test even takes place. So watch what you're doing as well, and don't just put that betting slip away and forget about it, because you might need to go back and reevaluate later.
Okay, Richard, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.